Evan, and I'm from Somers, New York. When I was younger, I never really felt comfortable with girly things or wearing dresses, playing with all the girl toys like dolls. I always prefer superheroes or like superhero costumes, especially for Halloween. Every year for Halloween, I was never a girl figure. I was always Superman, or sometimes one year I was the Joker. Then in the later years, I was just kind of relaxing, and then I never really felt comfortable. And then I went to this wedding that was not that long ago. I was around 10-ish, and I felt so weird because I had to wear a dress and makeup, and although everyone was like, "Oh, you look so pretty, you look so beautiful," not only was I like not comfortable with everything I was wearing, I just didn't feel right. I didn't feel in my own space, in my own skin. I sat alone in the corner. I didn't want to dance, I didn't want to move, I didn't want people to look at me or anything like that. So at the end of the 7th grade year, I started growing distant from my friends because it was the summer, and sometimes people do that. And I started go to more attached to video games because my parents had bought me an Xbox. And I started playing many games, and one of those games was Tell Me Why. And that game happened to feature a transgender character. The whole story wasn't completely about him being transgender. Although it's a story game, so while progressing throughout the story, I realized how much I related to the character. And then when I started to figure out transgender, that's an interesting topic. I looked into it and I'm like, oh, people can do a lot of things with gender. And I found out, you can switch your gender. That sounds nice. And then I thought about it more deeply. And once I finished the game, I honestly had to take some time to just think. And I thought about it for like a solid, maybe even 2 hours, just kind of laying there thinking, could this be me? I researched it a little bit more, and then I was like, I think I can relate to this. And then I knew my sibling, Lee, was also having their own little gender journey. And I came out to them thinking, oh, I think I'm transgender. And Lee was accepting, and I loved Lee for it. It was so supportive. And they helped me figure out so much of myself. But then I decided to come out to my friends because they're like, oh, this is good. I know who I am now. And I came out to them, and although they sounded supportive, I guess, they never really sat with it, if that makes any sense. Like, there was always kind of like just kind of rude about it. They're like, oh, look, it's Evan. And like, oh, that's nice. And they never really agreed with it. Then I distanced myself from them, and I started to feel a little bit better, but I still felt a little uncomfortable because my parents didn't know. I wanted to come out to my mom because I felt like uncomfortable about it. And I decided to, and my mom was doing work in San Francisco, and when we visited her, we happened to visit the Castro, which is a lovely little town. And I actually felt really comfortable in that town because there were so many people who were supportive about pride and gay people and LGBTQIA, and I just felt so like in my skin. And when I was there, I actually bought a hat that had boy in it in like capital letters. So we were driving down to the Castro, and when we were about to leave, and I was like, and I just come out and say it, and I was like, I think I'm transgender. There was silence, and we were just casually driving. And my parents were happy about it. They were supportive. And then there was a bit of silence, and then my mom made my dad pull over, and I was a little scared for a second, like, oh, they're pulling over, what's going to happen? And then my mom opened the car door and proceeded to hug me, and that made me feel so happy and supported and so glad that she was accepting of me. And I told my parents, like, my plans, like, oh, can I cut my hair? Can I get all the binder and stuff like that? And so when my mom came back from her work after we were done, and on my birthday, I decided to cut my hair, and it was one of the happiest things. I was smiling because we had to wear a mask at the time. I was smiling so much under my mask. You could see my little grin on my eyes when the lady was cutting my hair. And then later on, when 8th grade was about to start, I decided, I want to get a binder. And when I bought the binder, we ordered it online, and it arrived in the mail, and I was so happy, and I put it on, and I felt so myself. I felt so glad, and I was finally in my skin. Later on, I was like feeling more comfortable. I made new friends who were accepting and relatable, and I went to this wedding in the Dominican Republic. And at the wedding, the first time, I decided to dress up manly. I wore a button-up. It was It was green. It was so pretty. It had like wooden buttons, and then I wore like little suit shorts. And I went to the wedding, and then it was a beautiful wedding. And when I sat there, it felt so great because it was I felt so comfortable and so happy just being me and not having to hide or feel like I'm in the third person in a video game. Everything just kind of went into place. Like that puzzle that was always just kind of in the corner in the closet and you wanted to fix and you wanted to like put it together, but you never did. I finally put it together and everything felt perfect and I felt so glad. So recently I went to my high school orientation, and honestly that day I just felt so happy because I was finally myself. Everyone knew who I was. I even asked the people to change my name tag to Evan instead of my other name. And then I felt so like happy and so in my place, and now it's like the tide has switched and everything is different, and I'm so happy about it now. And I'm really glad that I've discovered this because now I feel like I can finally be myself and truly who I want to be.